The plasma bolt tore through Lieutenant Cale Garrett's shoulder as he dragged the alien warrior across broken metal and shattered stone. Her purple blood mixed with his red on the scorched battlefield, painting trails through dust that still glowed from orbital strikes. "Leave me!" Vixara hissed through clenched teeth, her forearms clawing weakly at his grip. Where her legs should have been, cauterized stumps leaked fluids no human medic had ever studied. Cale didn't answer. His lungs burned. Every muscle screamed. The Dominion dropships descended like metal vultures, 300 meters behind them, their weapons already spinning up for another pass. "Human, you will die," she said, her translator crackling. "Your species does not sacrifice for ours." He stumbled over a crater lip, nearly dropped her, caught himself against a twisted beam. The rest of his platoon had evacuated 6 minutes ago. Command had ordered full retreat when the Quellan defensive line shattered. Every human soldier had made it to the transports. Every human. Vixara wasn't human. The Alliance treaties said cross-species rescue was optional during routes. Encouraged, but optional. Her own people had already pulled back to their carriers in high orbit, writing off ground forces as acceptable losses. Standard Quellan doctrine. Die with honor. Don't burden the living. Cale adjusted his grip and kept moving. Energy beams cracked overhead. The Dominion war machines were closing fast, their insectoid forms skittering across rubble with mechanical precision. Cale's rifle was empty, ditched 2 minutes back to reduce weight. His sidearm had 4 rounds left. 4 rounds against an army. "This is illogical," Vixara said, but her voice had changed. "Why do you do this?" "Shut up and hold on." The emergency beacon on his wrist flashed red. No friendly signals in range. The evac zone was 12 clicks northeast through enemy-controlled territory. 12 clicks carrying a wounded alien who outweighed him by 40 pounds. The first transport had left her. So had the second. By the third, her own squad had stopped asking, stopped looking back. Just another casualty. Just another name for the memorial wall. Cale had been on the 4th Transport EC. He'd seen her through the closing ramp, still firing her weapon with 2 working arms while blood pooled beneath her. Still fighting. Still refusing to quit. He jumped. Now the transport was gone. The sky was full of enemies, and every tactical analysis said they were both already dead. Cale grinned despite the pain, despite the impossibility. "Not today," he muttered, and ran faster into the smoke. Cale crashed through the remains of a supply depot. Vixara clutched against his chest. Her breathing had gone shallow, rapid. Shock was setting in despite her species' legendary resilience. "There," she whispered, one arm lifting weakly toward a collapsed bunker. "Dominion will not search. Already destroyed." He changed direction, boots skidding on loose debris. Behind them, the skittering grew louder. The war machines were hunting now, methodical and patient. They had time. Their prey was wounded, slow, trapped. Cale squeezed through a gap in the bunker's fractured wall. Darkness swallowed them. He set Vixara down as gently as haste allowed and pulled a chemlight from his vest. Pale green glow revealed a space barely large enough for both of them. Structural beams groaning overhead. "Your wound?" Vixara said, eyes focusing on his shoulder. Purple blood still dripped from her stumps, but she was looking at him. "You are damaged? I've had worse." He hadn't, but she didn't need to know that. He pressed a coagulant pack against her injuries, the foam hissing as it expanded. She jerked, mandibles clicking in pain. "This is madness. You should have escaped. Probably the Alliance does not require this. Your command will not reward this." "Don't care." Her large eyes studied him, alien and sharp even through the pain haze. "I do not understand your species." Cale checked his wrist display. The evac zone was still 12 clicks out, but now Dominion forces sat between them and safety. His tactical overlay showed red markers spreading like infection across the map. They were boxed in, surrounded by enemies who controlled the air and ground. Outside, something massive stomped past. The bunker shook. Dust rained from cracks above. Bixara's translator whispered so quietly he almost missed it. "My name means last born in your language. I was not expected. Not wanted. An accident of biology." That's rough. The Quellan do not waste resources on the weak or unwanted. We prove worth through combat, through death if necessary. Clean deaths, honorable deaths. She laughed, a harsh chittering sound. "Not this. Never this." Cale pulled out his canteen and helped her drink. The water probably tasted wrong to her biology, but she swallowed anyway. "My dad used to say something," he said, keeping his voice low. "Back on Earth, back before the Coalition, he said every person you save proves the universe wrong about how cruel it has to be." Poetic, illogical. Yeah, he was like that. Cale smiled despite everything. Died pulling kids from a burning building. Could have waited for fire crews. Didn't. Vixara's eyes dimmed slightly. The Quellan expression of understanding. Genetic predisposition towards self-destruction for others. This explains much about human military performance. We prefer stubborn. Another war machine passed. Closer this time. Cale could hear its sensors pinging, sweeping, searching. He held his breath. Beside him, Vixara went perfectly still, combat instinct overriding pain. The machine moved on. Kyle activated his comm, knowing it was risky but out of options. Static hissed back. The Dominion was jamming everything. He switched to the emergency frequency, the one reserved for impossible situations. "Any human forces. This is Viper 7. I am trapped in grid sector Echo 4 with wounded Coalition personnel. Require immediate extraction." Repeat, immediate extraction. Static. Just static. Then a voice crackled through, faint but clear. "Viper 7. This is Warhammer Actual. Say again your position." Cale's heart hammered. "Echo 4. Collapsed bunker. Surrounded by Dominion forces. One human, one Quellan, both wounded." Silence stretched. He could almost hear the calculations happening on the other end. The risk assessment, the cost-benefit analysis. "Viper 7, evac is not authorized for your grid. You are beyond recovery range." Understood. Making for the primary evac zone on foot. Negative Viper 7. Dominion owns that route. You will not make it. Vixara touched his arm with one trembling hand. "You tried." "That is more than Warhammer Actual?" Cale interrupted. "I'm not leaving her." Another pause. "Longer this time?" "Copy that, Viper 7. Stand by past the comm went dead." Outside, the Dominion continued its sweep, tightening the noose with mechanical precision. Cale checked his sidearm again. 4 rounds. He looked at Vixara, at her ruined legs, at the determination still burning in her alien eyes. "How fast can you shoot with 2 arms?" he asked. She managed another clicking laugh. "Fast enough, human?" "Good." He handed her his sidearm. "Because we might need to buy ourselves a miracle." The bunker's walls trembled as something enormous settled directly above them. Cale froze, hand on Vixara's chest to keep her still. Dust fell in sheets. Through cracks in the ceiling, he saw the underbelly of a Dominion harvester, its collection arrays extending like metal tentacles to probe the rubble. They were searching for salvage, for bodies, for anything useful. One tendril punched through the ceiling 5 feet from Cale's head. It swept left, right, sensors glowing red in the darkness. He pressed himself flat, pulling Vic's era down with him. The tendril passed inches above them, so close he could feel the heat radiating from its scanning array. Then it withdrew. The harvester lifted, its weight shifting away. Gale released a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "That was the third pass," Vixara whispered. "They are being thorough. They know someone survived. Then we move before they come back. I cannot walk, human. Kale, my name is Kale." She blinked slowly, the gesture somehow significant. "Kale, I am Vixara of the Deep Strike clan, and I still cannot walk. Working on that." He pulled medical tape from his kit and began fashioning a harness, looping it under her arms and around his shoulders. "You're going to ride piggyback. Use your arms to hold. This is undignified. This is survival." His comm crackled suddenly. "Viper 7, Warhammer Actual. We have a problem and a solution. Which do you want first?" "Problem. Satellite shows 47 Dominion units in your sector. They have established a perimeter and are conducting systematic searches. You are currently in Grid Echo 4 Charlie. They will reach you in approximately 14 minutes. Kale's jaw tightened. "And the solution? Captain Brennan is inbound with Razor Squadron. 3 gunships, full combat load. They are going to punch a hole in the Dominion line and extract you from Grid Delta 2. Delta 2 is 3 clicks west, through all those Dominion units." "Correct. You have 28 minutes to reach the extraction point before we lose air superiority. After that, we cannot guarantee support." Vixara's translator clicked softly. "Impossible. You cannot carry me 3 kilometers in 28 minutes while evading 47 enemy units." Kale adjusted the harness and hauled her onto his back, her forearms wrapped around him, gripping tight. She weighed more than he'd estimated. But adrenaline was a hell of a drug. "Warhammer, I copy. Moving to Delta 2. Godspeed, Viper 7. Razor Squadron will light up the sky when they arrive. Follow the fire." Kale stepped out of the bunker into hell. The battlefield had transformed during their brief shelter. Dominion forces had erected scan towers that swept the ruins with overlapping sensor beams. War machines patrolled in coordinated patterns, their insectoid legs carrying them over obstacles with disturbing grace. In the distance, a harvester processed wreckage, its furnaces glowing orange against the darkening sky. Northwest, Vixara breathed in his ear. "Between the scan towers, there is a gap in their coverage. You can see that? Quellan vision operates in broader spectrum than human. I see their sensor patterns. Move, now, quickly." Kale ran as each step jarred his wounded shoulder, sent fresh pain lancing through damaged muscle. Vixara's weight bore down on him, but her arms held firm, distributing the load as best she could. A war machine skittered past 50 meters to their left, its attention focused on a thermal signature from a still-burning vehicle. They slipped behind a fallen wall, waited 3 heartbeats, moved again. "Right," Vixara hissed. "Drone incoming." Kale dove behind a crater's lip. The drone buzzed overhead, its camera arrays rotating methodically. They pressed into shadow, motionless. The drone continued its pattern, oblivious. Clear, the landscape blurred into a nightmare of calculated sprints and desperate hiding. Vixara called out threats before Kale could see them, her enhanced vision and tactical training keeping them one step ahead of detection. He trusted her completely, following her directions without question. "Stop. Harvester ahead, directly in our path." Kale ducked behind debris, gasping for air. Sweat poured down his face. His legs trembled from exertion. The harness cut into his shoulders, but Vixara's grip never faltered. "We cannot go around," she said. "The scan towers will detect us. We must go through." "Through a harvester?" "It is distracted, processing a vehicle wreck. 40 seconds? maybe 50. We can cross while it feeds? That's insane. Yes, her mandibles clicked close to his ear, almost like a smile. Very human. Kale checked his display. 16 minutes to extraction. 2 clicks remaining. They weren't going to make it by going slow. Tell me when. Vixara watched the harvester with predator focus. Its collection arrays pulled twisted metal into grinding maws, the noise deafening. 3, 1, now. Kale burst from cover and sprinted directly beneath the massive machine. The ground shook with its industrial feeding. Heat washed over them from its processing furnaces. One wrong move, one sensor ping, and they would be identified as salvageable materials. 30 meters. 20. 10. They cleared the harvester's shadow and kept running. Behind them, alarms suddenly blared. The harvester had detected something, its arrays swinging toward their last position. War machines converged from multiple directions, responding to the alert. They know, Vixara said.
They are coming.
Kale's comm erupted with noise. Viper 7, this is Razor Lead. We are 2 minutes out and we see your problem. Keep moving. We are bringing the rain. Above them, the sky split open with thunder. 3 gunships screamed overhead, their weapons already firing. Missiles streaked downward, impacting scan towers in blooms of white fire. Chain guns roared, shredding war machines into component parts. The Dominion perimeter dissolved into chaos. Delta 2, 1 click ahead. Kale gasped, legs pumping. We're going to make it. Then Vixara's grip suddenly loosened. Kale, I am losing consciousness. Stay with me. Blood loss. Tell Razor Squadron, thank them. Tell them yourself. He ran harder, every muscle screaming protest. The extraction point materialized ahead, marked by green smoke grenades. The gunship settled into position, its cargo ramp already lowering. War machines burst from the ruins behind them, weapons charging. The nearest gunship pivoted, unleashing devastation. Explosions walked across the battlefield, buying precious seconds. Kale crossed the final 50 meters on pure willpower. Hands reached down from the ramp, grabbing Vixara, pulling her aboard. Someone hauled him up after her. The gunship lifted before the ramp fully closed, engines screaming defiance at the Dominion forces below. Kale collapsed against the bulkhead, chest heaving. Medics swarmed Vixara, their hands moving with professional precision. Captain Brennan knelt beside him, grinning. You crazy bastard, you actually did it. KL managed a weak smile. Told you not. The medical bay aboard the carrier Resolute hummed with controlled urgency. Kale sat on an examination table while a corpsman worked on his shoulder, needle and thread pulling torn flesh back together without anesthetic. He'd refused the painkiller, needed to stay sharp. Through the translucent partition, he could see Vixara surrounded by a team of xenomedics. Her vitals displayed on monitors that meant nothing to human eyes, but the doctors moved with the calm efficiency of professionals who knew their work. One of them glanced toward KL and nodded once. She would live. Lieutenant Garrett. The voice carried command authority. Kale turned to find Colonel Patricia Vance standing in the doorway, her uniform crisp despite the combat operations. A word. He slid off the table, ignoring the corpsman's protest. Ma'am, Vance's office was sparse, functional. She gestured to a chair but remained standing herself, hands clasped behind her back. I've read the after-action reports. You abandoned your evacuation transport, disobeyed direct orders to fall back, engaged in unauthorized rescue operations in enemy territory. Yes, ma'am. Cost us 3 gunships worth of fuel and ammunition, put Razor Squadron at risk, delayed our tactical withdrawal by 40 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Vance's expression didn't change. The Quellen High Command has been in contact. They want to know why a human Marine violated established protocol to retrieve one of their wounded. They're suspicious. Some think it's propaganda. Others think you want something. Kale met her eyes. I don't want anything, ma'am. She was alive and fighting. That meant she wasn't finished. The Alliance doesn't require cross-species rescue during combat retreats. I know. Her own people left her. I know that too. Vance finally sat, leaning back in her chair. Her hard expression cracked slightly. The Quelan don't understand it. They've been our allies for 3 years, and they still don't understand why humans do things like this. They calculate survival odds. They optimize resource allocation. They accept necessary losses. They're missing the point then, which is... Kale chose his words carefully. Every species in this coalition brings something unique. The Quellan bring tactical brilliance and warrior discipline. The Torlexians bring technical innovation. The Minari bring espionage networks. And humans, we bring the refusal to accept that anyone has to be left behind. We bring the idea that loyalty isn't a calculation. That's our weapon, ma'am. That's what makes us dangerous to the Dominion. Vance studied him for a long moment. You sound like a recruiter. I sound like my dad, the one who died in the fire. Yes, ma'am. She stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars beyond. The Quellan want to award you their Deep Strike honor. It's never been given to a non-Quellan before. They're arguing about it right now, trying to find precedent in 10,000 years of tradition. I don't need an award. That's good, because you're also facing disciplinary review for abandoning your transport. She turned back to him. Probably a reprimand. Maybe worse. Command is split on whether you're a hero or a liability. Understood. Personally, Vance's expression softened almost imperceptibly. I think you're exactly the kind of Marine we need. But I'm not the only voice that matters. A chime interrupted them. Vance activated her comm. Yes, Colonel, this is medical. The Quellan warrior is awake and requesting to speak with Lieutenant Garrett. Vance gestured toward the door.
Go. We'll finish this conversation later.
KL found Bixara propped up in a specialized medical pod, her stumps wrapped in regeneration sleeves that hummed softly with bioelectric current. 3 of her 4 arms moved freely now, the 4th still connected to an IV drip. Her eyes tracked him as he approached. You look terrible, she said through her translator. You look worse? Her mandibles clicked, that clicking laugh. True, the doctors say I will survive. They also say the regeneration technology might allow me to walk again. In 6 months, maybe 8. It is expensive technology, reserved for essential personnel, warriors of proven value. She paused. I was not considered essential, but your Colonel Vance has authorized the treatment, she said. Any warrior you jumped off a transport for must be worth keeping. Kale pulled up a chair. She's not wrong. My clan has disowned me. Vixara said it matter-of-factly, without emotion. I received the notice 1 hour ago. A warrior who requires rescue is weak. A warrior who loses limbs is finished. These are our ways. Those are stupid ways. Perhaps she looked down at her stumps, but they are the only ways I have known until today. Until you did it, I didn't do anything special. You did the impossible. You carried me 3 kilometers through enemy territory while wounded. You called in gunships that could have been destroyed. You risked court-martial. You risked death. Her large eyes fixed on him. Why? I need to understand. My people cannot comprehend this. I cannot comprehend this. Kale leaned forward. On Earth we have this old saying, no man left behind. It's not about tactics or resource optimization. It's about the promise that if you fall, someone will come for you, that you matter, that your life has value beyond what you can contribute to the mission. But I am not your species. We are not even similar. Doesn't matter. You wore the uniform. You fought beside us. That makes you one of us." Viscata was quiet for a long time. Finally, she extended one arm, palm open in a gesture Kael recognized as Quellan gratitude. He clasped her hand, the three-fingered grip, alien but firm. "I have no clan now," she said. "No family. The Quellan military will discharge me as unfit. I have nothing." "That's not true." "What do I have?" Kael smiled. "You have a human who refused to leave you." "That's a good start." Before Vixara could respond, alarms shrieked throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Vance's voice boomed over the intercom. "All hands to battle stations. Dominion fleet dropping out of hyperspace. Multiple capital ships. This is not a drill." Kael was already moving toward the door when Vixara called out, "Kael, you gave it to me in the bunker." He turned back. She held out his pistol, handle first. "4 rounds left," she said. "Make them count." He took the weapon, checked the magazine, and ran for his station. Behind him, Vixara watched through the medical bay viewport as crew rushed past. She could not fight. She could not walk. But she could watch this human who had refused to abandon her face death once again. And she could finally understand what her people had been missing all along. The Resolute shuddered as Dominion plasma fire raked across her shields. Kael sprinted through corridors filled with rushing crew, his wounded shoulder protesting every movement. Battle stations meant the armory, meant suiting up, meant preparing to repel boarders if the enemy breached the hull. He rounded a corner and nearly collided with Captain Brennan. "Garrett, good. I need you on gun deck 3. We lost 2 crews when a conduit blew. On it." Gun deck 3 was chaos. Smoke billowed from a ruptured plasma line while damage control teams fought the fire with foam canisters. 2 wounded gunners were being evacuated, their stations empty and critical. The tactical display showed 8 Dominion cruisers in attack formation, their fighter screens already launching. Kael threw himself into the nearest gunnery seat and strapped in. The controls were standard issue, muscle memory taking over. He brought the targeting system online and immediately acquired 3 incoming fighters. "All batteries, focus fire on the lead cruiser," Vance's voice commanded over comms. "Coordinated strike in 5, 4, 3. The Resolute's main guns spoke in unison, spears of superheated plasma converging on the Dominion flagship. Shields flared brilliant white, held for 3 seconds, then collapsed. The follow-up volley punched through armor plating, crippling the cruiser's forward weapons, but 7 more remained. Kael tracked a fighter wing, vectoring toward the Resolute's port side. His targeting computer painted them red. He squeezed the trigger, and railgun rounds screamed into space at a fraction of light speed. 2 fighters evaporated. The third jinked hard, diving below his firing arc. "Multiple breaches on deck 7, someone shouted over the comms. "Boarding pods inbound." Kael's blood went cold. Deck 7 was medical. He was halfway out of his seat when Brennan grabbed his arm. "Stay on your gun, Lieutenant. Marines are responding." "Sir, the medical bay has armed guards and blast doors. Your job is here." Another impact rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Kael forced himself back into the gunnery seat, but his mind raced. Vixara was defenseless, strapped to a medical pod, unable to walk or fight. If Dominion soldiers reached medical, "Viper 7, this is Warhammer Actual." Vance's voice cut through his spiraling thoughts. "I need you to listen very carefully. The Quellan fleet just dropped out of hyperspace. 6 warships. They are hailing us." Kael's hands never stopped working the guns, but his attention split. "The Quellan? I thought they'd withdrawn from this sector." "They had, but apparently word spread about what you did. About Vixara. The fleet commander wants to speak with you directly. Ma'am, I'm in the middle of patch it to his station, Vance ordered. And Garrett, this matters. Trust me. The secondary display flickered to life, showing a Quellan commander whose ceremonial markings indicated high rank. His translator crackled to life. Human Lieutenant Cale Garrett. I am Fleet Commander Zarkoth of the Burning Sky Clan. You retrieved Vix Ara of the Deep Strike Clan from certain death. Yell destroyed another fighter, barely glancing at the screen. Still trying to keep her alive, actually. We're under attack. We are aware. This is why we have come. Zarkoth's expression was unreadable to human eyes, but his tone carried weight. The Deep Strike Clan dishonored themselves when they abandoned her, but you, a human, honored the warrior code better than her own blood. This has caused discussion among our people. With respect, Commander, unless that discussion involves helping us fight, it can wait. A sound emerged from the display that might have been Quellan laughter. Indeed, observe. The tactical display exploded with new contacts. 6 Quellan warships, each one bristling with weapons, dove into the Dominion formation with reckless aggression. Their plasma cannons tore through shields and armor with brutal efficiency. The Dominion fleet, suddenly outnumbered and outgunned, began a fighting retreat. We do not abandon our warriors, Zarkoth said, and any human who honors our code as you have honored it is worthy of Quellan steel beside them. The Dominion flagship took a direct hit to its reactor. The explosion lit up the void like a newborn star. Thank you, Commander, Cale managed. Do not thank me yet. Your medical bay is about to have visitors. The display shifted to show internal security feeds. Dominion soldiers in powered armor were cutting through the blast doors to Deck 7. Marines engaged them in the corridor, but the enemy was advancing, methodical and unstoppable. Cale was out of his seat before conscious thought. Ignoring Brennan's shouts, he grabbed a rifle from the emergency locker and ran. Deck 7 was a war zone. Burn marks scarred the walls. Bodies, human and Dominion, lay scattered where they'd fallen. The Marines had established a choke point 30 meters from medical, but they were being pushed back by superior firepower. Sergeant Chen saw Cale coming and shouted over the weapons fire. Lieutenant, you need to get back to... How many got through? 2, maybe 3. They're going for high-value targets, looking for officers, intelligence assets. Kyle didn't wait to hear more. He vaulted over the barricade and sprinted for the medical bay entrance. The doors had been blown open, smoke still rising from the breached frame. Inside, emergency lights painted everything red. Medical equipment lay smashed. A doctor sprawled unconscious against a wall. And at the far end of the bay, 2 Dominion soldiers in full combat armor advanced on the pod where Vixara lay trapped. She had somehow armed herself with a surgical laser, the medical tool pathetically small against their armor, but she held it steady with 2 arms, while the other 2 worked frantically at her restraints. Come then, she hissed at them in their own language, her translator broadcasting clearly, I am already dead. You gain nothing but the satisfaction of killing a cripple. The soldiers raised their weapons. Cale fired. His first shot caught one soldier in the neck joint, the only exposed weakness in their armor. The second soldier spun toward him, rifle coming up. Cale dove behind a medical cart as plasma bolts vaporized the air where he'd been standing. 4 rounds left in his pistol. The rifle was empty, ammunition expended in his mad dash through the corridor. The surgical laser Vixara held wouldn't penetrate military armor. They were outgunned, outmatched, and out of options. The Dominion soldier advanced, confident now. Cale could hear the servos in his armor. the hiss of his breathing apparatus. Any second now, a plasma bolt would end this. Then Vixara threw the surgical laser. It was a terrible throw, weak and off target. The laser clattered harmlessly off the soldier's chest plate, but it made him look, made him turn toward her for just 1 second. Kyle put all 4 remaining rounds through the visor slit. The soldier crashed backward, armor sparking. Kale scrambled to Vixara's pod, fingers working the restraints she'd been unable to release. "You came," she said, and there was wonder in her voice. "Again, told you sooth. Not today." The restraints released. He pulled her into his arms just as the cavalry arrived. Marines poured through the entrance, securing the bay with professional precision. Chen gave him a hard look, but said nothing about unauthorized movement. In Kale's arms, Vixar's 4 hands gripped his uniform. "Twice now you have saved me. This creates a debt I cannot repay." "Then don't. Just live. That's payment enough." Above them, through the hull, the sounds of battle finally began to fade. 3 months later, Kyle stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Coalition Station Harmony, watching construction drones weld the final supports into place. The station floated at the border between human and Quellan space, a symbol of the alliance growing stronger after the Battle of Resolute. Behind him, the door hissed open. He didn't need to turn. The rhythmic sound of mechanical legs on deck plating told him everything. "You are early," Vizcara said, walking to stand beside him. The prosthetics were Quellan military grade, far beyond what her clan would have provided. Fleet Commander Zarkoth had personally authorized the best technology available. "The ceremony does not begin for another hour. Wanted to see the view without the crowd." She followed his gaze to where human and Quellan ships patrolled together, their formations coordinated and precise. "It is different now after what happened. After what you did, what we did." "No." She turned to face him, her new legs steady and strong. "This began with you. One human who refused to calculate acceptable losses, who refused to leave a warrior behind simply because she was not his species." Kyle smiled. "You would have done the same. I would not have." "That is the point." Her mandibles clicked softly. "My people are warriors. We understand duty and honor and sacrifice. But we had forgotten something essential. We had forgotten that the strongest steel is forged not in isolation, but in unity." Through the viewport, a formation of mixed human and Quellan fighters executed a practice maneuver, their movements synchronized perfectly. "The Deep Strike clan has requested my return," Vixara continued. "They say my actions during the boarding fighting, even while crippled, have restored honor. That I am worthy again." "What did you tell them?" "I told them I already have a clan." She placed one 3-fingered hand on his shoulder. "The clan that did not abandon me. The clan that taught me what loyalty truly means." The observation deck doors opened again. Colonel Vance entered, followed by Fleet Commander Zarkoth and a dozen other high-ranking officers from multiple species. The ceremony was beginning early. Vance stepped forward, her expression formal, but her eyes warm. "Lieutenant Cale Garrett, Warrior Vikes Ara, please stand at attention." They complied. 3 months ago, Vance began, these 2 individuals demonstrated the core principle that holds this coalition together. Not tactical superiority, not technological advantage, but the unwavering commitment to stand together against any threat, to refuse to abandon those who fight beside us. Zarkoth moved to stand beside Vance. "The Quellan High Command has debated this matter extensively. We are a proud people with ancient traditions. But Lieutenant Garrett has shown us that true honor transcends species boundaries. He produced a medal forged from Quellan steel, its surface etched with symbols that predated human spaceflight. Cale Garrett, you are hereby awarded the Deep Strike Honor, the first non-Quellan to receive this recognition in our 10,000-year history. You have proven yourself worthy of standing among our greatest warriors. As Zarkov pinned the medal to Kael's uniform, Vixara's forearms came to attention in perfect Quellan salute. Additionally, Van said, producing her own medal, Lieutenant Garrett, you are awarded the Coalition Star for Valor. Your actions under fire, your refusal to accept defeat, and your commitment to our alliance embodies everything we fight for. She stepped back and smiled. You also have that reprimand in your file. Can't let heroism go completely unpunished. Laughter rippled through the assembled officers. Vance turned to Visera. Warrior Visara, you have been offered a position in the Coalition Special Operations Command, a new unit being formed, combining human and Quellan tactical doctrine. They want you as lead tactical advisor. Vixara's eyes widened slightly. I accept with honor. Good, because Lieutenant Garrett is being assigned as your human liaison. Cale and Vixara exchanged glances. You two started something, Vance continued. Other species are watching. The Torlexians have begun cross-training programs. The Minari are embedding operatives in human intelligence units. The entire coalition is learning that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Zarkov nodded. The Dominion expected us to fracture under pressure, to abandon each other when survival demanded calculation over compassion. Instead, we have become something they cannot comprehend, something they cannot defeat. Through the viewport, more ships arrived. Torlexian cruisers, Minari stealth frigates, vessels from a dozen allied species, all gathering for the station's dedication ceremony. After the formalities concluded and the crowd dispersed, Cale and Vixara remained at the viewport. I have been studying human culture, Vixara said quietly, trying to understand your species better. I found something interesting. Your people have a saying, humanity, fuck yeah. Cale laughed. That's not exactly official doctrine. Perhaps not, but it captures something true. This defiant refusal to accept the universe as cruel and uncaring. This stubborn insistence on hope and loyalty and sacrifice. She looked at him. These are not weaknesses. They are weapons, and they are terrifying to those who see life only as calculation. The Dominion is learning that. Yes, because of humans like you, like your father. She paused. He would be proud, I think. Cale's throat tightened. Yeah, they stood together in comfortable silence, watching the Allied fleet maneuver in perfect formation. Human. Quellan. Torlexian. Minari. Species that had once been strangers, now bound by something stronger than treaties or tactical alliances, bound by the lesson one human Marine had taught them all on a smoke-filled battlefield 3 months ago, that no one fights alone, that loyalty transcends species, that every life has value worth fighting for. Vixara's mechanical legs whirred softly as she shifted her stance. What happens now? Cale smiled and looked out at the stars beyond the station, at the vast territory still held by the Dominion, at the battles yet to come. Now we show them what happens when the galaxy refuses to leave anyone behind. Outside, the combined fleet burned its engines bright against the void, and the universe trembled at what humanity and its allies had become together. Something unstoppable.